Okay, so imagine walking into a possibly haunted location and seeing an empty room. You walk in and suddenly a chair magically appears behind you. Would you sit in that chair? Well, Yudias certainly did in this episode. Hello everyone and welcome to Dueling with Downton, and today we're here to talk about episode 6 of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Go Rush anime series. An episode in where we learn a bit more about Zwijo and Yudias, all the while getting some character development for our main protagonist in Yudias as well. So let's start off by talking about that blue spiky haired protagonist. Because first of all, thinking about your life troubles while sitting on the toilet is a perfectly normal thing to do. But on a more serious note, I did like the slight piece of dueling development within this episode from Yudias. As we see throughout the duel that he misplays during that duel, but then later on learns from his mistake and manages to utilize his spell card more effectively, thus giving his monsters the max amount of attack points he possibly could. We also get an upgrade to Yudias' deck, as we've seen him spending time learning about rush duels, learning about trap cards, spell cards, and tribute summoning. And he uses all three of those things that he's learned within this episode, showcasing his development as a duelist. But it wasn't just dueling development that we got from this character. After all, we know how important Zwijo is to Yudias, as well as the bond the two share with each other. So when Yudias was asked to join Zwijo, I was half expecting Yudias to say yes, okay. But no. Instead, Yudias manages to see how different Zwijo has gotten, and instead shows loyalty to UTS and his goals which he's striving to achieve. In fact, Yudias didn't just show loyalty and his resolve at the end of this episode, he also showed it at the beginning by telling Yuumu that UTS is more important to him than finding Zwijo after they spent a few days and had no luck. This comment does echo Yudias' personality. After all, we know he's kind, he's loyal, he's respectful, he's selfless, and maybe possibly a pacifist, in the fact that he doesn't wish to continue the war/conflict. Because yes, he's been in wars before, but every time he's battled, it's always seemed like he's been fighting for his survival more so than fighting for fun. Where on the other hand, we have Zwijo, who from his statement looks to be gearing up for another battle/war. As he states that now that they have rush duels, he can crush his enemies into dust. And this statement, for me at least, does two things. Firstly, it adds slightly more of a darker tone to the series, making me think along the lines of carding from Arc 5, or sending people to the stars in GX. And secondly, it gives that clash of ideals between himself and Yudias. Zwijo looks to be relishing in the idea of crushing his enemies with his newfound power known as rush dueling, whereas Yudias wants rush dueling to bring peace to his home planet, giving us that reason for why Yudias might be dueling Zwijo in the future. One wants war, destruction, and conflict, while other just wants peace. I guess as a bonus thing as well, it kind of adds a bit of comedy, because I love how the fact is Zwijo's like, we have rush duels, we can crush our enemies. But dude, you have a sword, you have a shield, and you have laser beams coming out of your eyes. What are cards gonna do? However, Zwijo wasn't always like this, as Yudias, when thinking back on his time with Zwijo, was filled with happy moments. Zwijo was known as this proud, powerful, reliable, noble and respectful warrior that everyone around him looked up to him. However, it seems now like he's changed ever so slightly. Now, it is highly possible that he was only acting around the others and guiding them to help fuel his passion for battle and war. Because you know the old phrase, the more the merrier. And as part of war, one aspect of it is ensuring that you all return home safely. So Zwijo helping everyone out could be like a bit of a game of sorts for him, in where in his mind he feels like this war is just a fun game to him, and him helping out his comrades in surviving is like him earning extra experience points when they return home after victory. Because yeah, he was always smiling in those flashbacks, which is either meaning he's having fun, or it means that he's just happy to see his comrades alive and safe and he can do something to help them. So one's kind of a bit dark and a bit twisted, while the other is actually quite nice and goes along the lines of him being reliable, respectful, and noble. Or it could be that the explosion has changed him, as surviving a near-death experience could have had some mental effects on him, causing him to change in a way of having this hunger for battle and this desire for revenge. Honestly, I don't know, but I'm really liking the character presentation that we got within this episode, as his actions and his dialogue are leaving us guessing and wanting more, asking more questions about the character that we need to have answered moving forward. Plus, the voice acting for this character I think is absolutely brilliant. I can't wait to see more from Zwijo in the future. Briefly now, let's talk about the other members of UTS, as both of the Odo twins had some interesting segments within this episode. Yuhi has been traumatized after finding out that the Earth was basically inside of him, and Yuumu continues to tease those around her. For example, she sees how sort of the topic of Earth affects Yuhi, and teases him by mentioning that topic again, while smiling. Another example of this would be when she points out to Yudias that the chair might not actually be a chair. That smile has cheeky written all over it, and I loved it. But from cheeky to creepy, as she starts scheming about getting rich and having her reputation boosted for UTS, in basically solving all of those myths and urban legends, terrorizing Mutsuba town. So basically this is telling us that Yuumu is still very business driven, and once she has a plan in mind, look out everyone, she can be a bit scary. Lastly, on Yuumu's character, one of the things I really liked about her in this episode, amongst many, was that she pointed out that misplay, as this was very smart writing, as it once again played to the fact that Yuumu is a really good duelist, because she's able to read and analyse the duel and decide what was a good play and what was a bad play / misplay. So yeah, that was good. In regards to the whole urban legend chasing segment, this was a bit of comedy. However, I did find that the 3 grannies had the same colour headbands on as the 3 drones that duelled Kaizo in Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s. They had yellow, red and blue on them, which I thought was a nice little touch. But all of this searching led us to Mitsuku Hiromori, another alien working with Zwijo, who appears in the opening as well. Now this alien has a catchphrase revolving around the number 3, and she likes saying it a lot. And it's slightly funny as her name does contain the word Mitsu in it, which in Japanese is the way you say 3. I've seen a lot of people theorizing that the human form for this new alien is in fact the dark blue haired girl that we've seen in pretty much every episode so far. And to that theory I say, sure, why not? There's a few bits of evidence leading to that being possibly true. After all, we see the girl working for Kawitel, and we know that Kawitel is an alien who appears in the opening alongside Zwijo, just like this new alien does as well. Plus, this was the first episode that this girl doesn't actually make an appearance in. So it leaves you wondering, where is she? Also, the girl has an M hair clip in her hair, possibly hinting at the name Mitsuko. I don't know, it just leaves you wondering, and yeah, I like the theory. As for the duel, it was kind of the first non-tutorial duel that we've gotten in Go Rush, and personally I like the duel itself. I thought we had a lot of cards used very effectively. We had lots of good traps, lots of good spells, and the monster cards were pretty cool as well. I love how we are getting these normal type monsters and then using traps and spell cards as a way of boosting them, making the cards more powerful and fun to watch. This makes it feel like the very old style of Yu-Gi-Oh! In terms of what we would normally see at the start of Duel Monsters, because we don't have all of these crazy summoning mechanics and massively long combos that we're sat there watching the character do for like 20 minutes. So yeah, it's really refreshing to see a really fun, fast pace, and nothing too particularly crazy, yet still entertaining duel. So overall, I really liked this episode. I thought the duel was a lot of fun, and I really loved the emotional aspects and development we're seeing from characters within the show. Plus, there have been a bit of good build-up that makes me curious to see what's going to happen in the future and keeping me hooked. The ending image also got an update, seeing characters like Chupataro, Kawitel, and one of the grannies from this episode all at the end card when they're taking the photo. That was a really nice touch, and it makes me think that maybe these aliens are going to be sticking around a bit longer and helping our heroes out in the future after the first arc. My one question is though, will Zwijo appear in this image after being defeated? If he does, I expect him to be lurking in the background of the image, out of sight, but just so you can slightly see it's him. Because I don't see Zwijo walking around with our main heroes all the time. I feel like if Zwijo does become a good character moving forward, he's going to be kind of like a character that reappears when he's needed and not all the time. But that's just my opinion. Anyways, those are my thoughts on this episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! Go Rush. What are yours? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear what you have to say about it. Hope you've enjoyed this review. If you have, hit like, comment your thoughts down below, subscribe so you get more Yu-Gi-Oh! Content from myself in the future. Have a great day. Alligator, matane, goodbye.